President Mohamed Morsi is in damage control mode this week after news broke of anti-Semitic comments that he'd made in the not-too-distant past. Morsi says his 2010 speech was taken out of context. In that speech, he urged Egyptians to, quote, nurse our children and our grandchildren on hatred, end quote, for Jews and Zionists. His remarks have attracted widespread condemnation from the international community. There's speculation it could threaten U.S. military aid to Egypt, which amounts to more than $1 billion each and every year. Emanuele Ottolenghi is a senior fellow with the Foundation for Defense of Democracy. Standing by in Washington, he specializes in the Middle East and in anti-Semitism. So, Emanuele, the Egyptian government today releasing a statement that we're going to show the viewers, saying President Mohamed Morsi's statements from 2010 about Israeli aggression on the Palestinians in Gaza were misquoted. Morsi was asked about his statements during a meeting with the U.S. congressional delegation led by Republican Senator John McCain, in which they discussed the democratic transformation in Egypt that was going on at the time. During the meeting, Morsi renewed his commitment to the freedom of belief, saying the Egyptian people have approved the constitution, enabling different beliefs to enjoy and different people to enjoy all rights of citizens. I mean, what is your reaction to this statement? And I guess the overarching story here, Emanuele.
Look, first of all, great to be back on the show. The words pronounced by Morsi in 2010 are very much within the context of the language, the ideology, and the worldview of the Muslim Brotherhood. For decades, the Muslim Brotherhood, which was established in the late 20s, very much modeled after the totalitarian movements of the time, namely fascism and communism, has nurtured a deep, obsessive, and enduring hatred for the Jews and for the political manifestation of the Jewish collective, namely Zionism first and then the State of Israel since it was established. Morsi did not only refer to Jews in very dismissive, derogatory terms, which, by the way, are the standard language one finds across the Islamist literature of the Brotherhood and other organizations in the region. But he also expressed a profound, staunch belief that even Israel, before the 1967 conquests of the West Bank and Gaza, isn't a legitimate entity, and invoked resistance, which is a code word for violent struggle, as the only way for Muslims to confront Israel. So I don't think that this was taken out of context.
Egypt, of course, is the largest power player in the region. How should we interpret comments like this from its leader?
Listen, these comments are entirely consistent with decades of literature, proclamations, statements, and thinking of the mainstream of the Muslim Brotherhood and political Islam across the region. We have to come to terms with the fact that Egypt is now under a new regime that embraces that political ideology. Of course, it's an open question whether the Muslim Brotherhood over the years will develop into something more moderate. But
right.
Judging by how recent these statements and how strong these statements were, we should be on the guard.
What difference do you think it's going to make, though, in the region now? I mean, can Morsi have said this 2 years back and still be considered, you know, an honest mediator, an honest partner with Israel?
I think Israel has little choice, as do the Americans, by the way. You know, Morsi may not be the ideal partner. The Muslim Brotherhood is far from being the ideal partner. It may not necessarily be a partner at all in the future. But that's the only government you have in Egypt now. Egypt has strategic interests that, to some extent at least, happen to overlap with Israel insofar as Sinai and the Gaza Strip is concerned. And so even if you know, the language suggests a deep, well-rooted animosity towards the Jewish state, there is still room for at least minimal cooperation to keep things under control. The question is whether, as things move along in the region, Morsi and his political allies and those who share his worldview, having consolidated their power in Egypt, having established their worldview within their society, will see it fit to pursue that worldview also in the realm of foreign policy.
Emanuele Ottolenghi is a senior fellow with the Foundation for Defense of Democracy. He's coming to us from Washington. Thanks for your insights into this, Emanuele. I appreciate it.
Thank you.